first time in a very long time it's completely still. It's meant to be the calm before the storm, not metaphorically either. It's meant to be a couple of days of thunder, rain and hail and everything like that, and then a week of 30-degree weather, so watch this space, I guess. Has to be said as well that of late some people, including one of you, someone amongst your number, has been extremely kind to me, and I really do appreciate it. As I've said, I've used this phrase a few times of late, turned a corner recently. Ironically, turning that corner has been in sort of a head-on collision with the realities of what I'm facing. On a human level, subconscious, conscious, spiritual, financial, the future. But there is one thing that is just so important to keep in mind. That is the old saying of this isn't a dress rehearsal. We're here now. This is my time, and I'm trying. Some people do this with. I realised what I was doing. Some people do it with post-it notes. They'll put little positive messages about how they need to sort of alter aspects of life, or that things aren't so bad. On days where things feel a bit better, I have little memoirs of what was there the day before. But since about last May, I started recording videos that are so private in their nature that I'll probably be the only person who ever sees them, but I've titled them very specifically, and I can usually remember, with the spooky power of memory that I've got, exactly what each and every one of them means, and where they're from and why I did it. And as such, I've got little reminders of the better days, and sometimes the sort of darker times, and it does me the world of good. I've put a new folder on my desktop saying, get your head out your arse sort of file, or something like that I've called it. I can't remember, I haven't actually observed it for quite some time, but basically it's on those days where I feel like I'm in command, where I feel like I'm in the driving seat. And they're not very common. But when I am in the driving seat of my life and the anxiety subsides to any great degree, I just feel so strong, so fearless. A version of me that used to exist comes screaming to the surface. It's like when you see people talking about somebody who's suffering Alzheimer's or some awful degenerative brain disorder like that. In a funny sort of way, these things are sort of loosely similar. That if I think back 30 years to the person I used to be, just driven by not giving a damn, in the same way I don't give a damn about what I say about myself now. I used to put all that energy into just trying to make people smile and trying to make them laugh. And seems incredible thinking that guy ever existed. The moment there's any kind of gathering of human beings near me, I run a mile. Whereas I used to think, it was all very self-serving, and I usually was at my best or worst in front of the prettiest girl there. I had to stop for a sec to sneeze. These days you can be in a road as empty as this one on a rainy evening in July like this and sneeze, and you see people starting to put plague crosses on the door and doing up the windows and ushering the kids back in the house. Well, after 3 months, the kids' playground's open just to make sure that COVID-19 spreads really, really well. But I'm more than aware when the chips are up rather than down of that person. You know, we quite often leave little aspects of ourselves behind, but there are little flashes and reminders of who we used to be. You know, and I saw this with somebody driving with their father who had Alzheimer's, you know, and didn't know who the hell he was, but he could recite every single minute of the day he was married. You know, it's beautiful stuff, very, very tragic to watch as well. But you know, with me, it's not that kind of condition that's led me here. It is just something I'm very aware in other people. Is God, they're so set in their ways. But you know, being set in my ways is self-preservatory. It's keeping myself safe, you know. And do you know what the irony is? So much of this is self-inflicted during my life. That I've gone quiet. I've become the shyest person on earth. I've become the most withdrawn and desolate soul. I hide myself away. I have nothing to do with anyone. And I do feel like hiding. I do feel like being away from people. But who created most of this mess? Who am I hiding from ultimately? Myself. I'm sure a lot of people could recognise that one. But you know, this is something I've got to go through on my own. We got a mower today, given by the landlord, because we've had a few months without one. There's been all sorts of chaos in our lives with COVID and crappy tenants sharing the house with us and everything. Today we got a mower and I've tidied the whole house and the garden up. You know, there are elements of positivity and progress appearing in my life. Basically accepting where I'm at, as I said, which means going back to square one and realising how damaged I actually am at this point in time. But one of my housemates said, you know, you're doing so much at the moment, getting this place ship shape and Bristol fashion and everything like that. She said, you know, give us a nudge when you do it, and we can all do it together. And I just thought, that's my idea of hell. You know, actually dealing with people like you I know relatively well and get on with. I just think, no, that'd be hellish, you know. And it's bizarre, the sort of the negative sort of mindset you can get yourself into, where you just want to be on your own. But I do, and I'm not going to fight that at this point in time, but I'm very aware of it, and I do want to start taking more control. I do want to be more positive about things, and I'm going to write those metaphorical post-it notes, because this is my time. It is ironic though, with the life I've led, that I'm so easily hurt at this point in my life by people taking things for granted or not showing gratitude. You know, all the curses of my behaviour from the past. I was worse than that though, because I used to be courteous and grateful, but it meant nothing. It was all self-serving. My politeness has always been genuine, but that's about it. But yeah, there was one force in my life who was... I'm the worst person in the world to start acting passive-aggressively to, or gaslighting, because I monitor because of who I am, not because of some obsession. You know, people are spooked out by my memory sometimes. You can remember that day, that hour, that moment, you know. It's just my mental makeup. And yeah, somebody has gaslit me. Lacked in common courtesy. Show courtesy and gratitude to others who've done less for them. You know, I'm not stupid. I'm the worst person in the world to do this to. I understand. I know what people are playing at. And this person's part of a philosophy that, by default, a lot of people involved think that immediately makes them morally superior. We've all come across the vegan, haven't we, who is so horrendously judgmental and horrible to everybody, and harbours ideas that people who eat meat or animal produce deserve to die, and die horribly, and, you know, and you just think you really do still carry around a sense of moral superiority, but none of your actions prove it. You know, there is so much virtue signalling in the world and so little action. I believed until very recently that signalling virtue was enough. How wrong I was. How wrong I was. But yeah, this is my time, it's your time, it's our time. And taking control of what and who we are. We can control how we're perceived. I've realised this recently. If people are reasonable and decent, you can control how they perceive you just by being reasonable, decent and a nice person. If somebody has some narcissistic or psychopathic tendencies, you're never going to change them. They're going to think what they like. But those people who are worth knowing, yeah, you can alter their opinions just by choosing the light or the dark side, as it were, you know.